Hello, everyone. My name is Braden. This is Airless Cool 9, and in today's video, we are going to take a look at blue dragons. Dragons of Tyranny and Tempests. Blue dragons can typically be found on coastal and desert regions. The treasures that they like to hoard are relics, which is a table that can be rolled on in the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide. And this is what the 2024 Monster Manual has to say about blue dragons in general. Arrogant and imperious, blue dragons are chromatic dragons that crave control and collect followers like other dragons hoard treasure. They seek to transform their territories into empires, domains to be feared by nations. Blue dragons have sharp features with piercing horns and scales that range from sapphire to the shades of stormy skies. They dwell in deserts and badlands, particularly regions with dramatic spires from whose tops they might see for miles. They seek lairs near sites of symbolic power, such as the abandoned fortresses of giants, the colossi of fallen empires, or monuments raised by their followers. Regalia of rulership and artistic masterpieces fill blue dragons' hoards. These dragons have no interest in treasures that are common or flawed, preferring one-of-a-kind gemstones, the crowns of fallen royals, and magic items capable of spreading the dragon's influence. We'll be taking a look at each of the 4 age categories of blue dragons: the Blue Dragon Wyrmling, the young blue dragon, the adult blue dragon, and the ancient blue dragon. First on our list is going to be the Blue Dragon Wyrmling. Blue Dragon Wyrmlings often serve other powerful creatures, learning the ways of control and establishing fearful reputations among weaker creatures. Many Wyrmlings initially serve loyally, but as their powers grow to match their ambitions, they eventually betray or abandon their associates. These Wyrmlings tempt small groups of creatures into their service, rewarding them with modest treasures and promises of future power. Blue Dragon Wyrmlings are medium dragons, chromatic dragons, and they are lawful evil in alignment. They have an armor class of 17, an initiative of +2, 65 hit points, a speed of 30 feet, a burrow speed of 15 feet, and a fly speed of 30 feet. For their ability scores, they have a strength of 17, a dexterity of 10, a constitution of 15, an intelligence of 12, a wisdom of 11, and a charisma of 15. They are proficient in dexterity and wisdom saving throws, giving them a +2 in each. For skills, they have a perception at +4 and stealth at +2. For immunities, they are immune to lightning damage. For senses, they have blind sight of 10 feet and dark vision of 60 feet. They have a passive perception of 14 as well. For languages, they know Draconic, and they are a challenge rating of 3 creature, giving them 700 experience points and a proficiency bonus of +2. For their actions, they have a multi-attack, letting them make 2 rend attacks. Rend is a melee attack roll with a +5 to hit and a reach of 5 feet. On a hit, it deals 1d10 +3 slashing damage, plus 1d6 lightning damage for an average of 11 damage per attack. And Lightning Breath, which is a recharge of 5 to 6. This is a dexterity saving throw, DC 12. Each creature in a 30-foot long, 5-foot wide line. And on a failure, a target takes 6d6 lightning damage, half damage on a success. Here are the actual changes to the Blue Dragon Wyrmling. The 2014 version of the Blue Dragon Wyrmling actually has 52 hit points. This is because it has 2 less hit dice than the new version. The Blue Dragon Wyrmling has also lost proficiency in Constitution and Charisma saving throws. This is true across the board for all dragons in the book. The Blue Dragon Wyrmling has also gained a multi-attack, and its bite attack has been changed to a rend attack, which now does slashing and lightning damage rather than piercing and lightning damage. Finally, the breath weapon now deals 66 lightning damage. It previously did 4d10 lightning damage, so the dice have slightly changed, but the average is about the same. So other than that, no other changes to the Blue Dragon Wyrmling. So yeah, overall I think it got a tiny bit of a power boost in actuality with those additional hit points and the addition of a multi-attack. So that's kind of nice to see. The young Blue Dragon is a large dragon, chromatic, lawful evil. They have an armor class of 18, an initiative of +4. They have hit points of 152, a 40-foot speed, a 20-foot burrow speed, and a fly speed of 80 feet. For ability scores, the young Blue Dragon has a strength of 21, a dexterity of 10, a constitution of 19, an intelligence of 14, a wisdom of 13, and a charisma of 17. For skills, it has a perception of +9, a stealth of +4. For its immunities, it's immune to lightning damage. It has blind sight of 30 feet, dark vision of 120 feet, and a passive perception of 19 as its senses. It knows Common and Draconic for its languages, and the young Blue Dragon is a challenge rating 9 creature, granting 5,000 experience points, and it has a proficiency bonus of +4. For its actions, it has a multi-attack, allowing it to make 3 rend attacks. Rend here is a melee attack roll +9 to hit, reach of 10 feet. On a hit, it deals 2d6 +5 slashing damage plus 1d10 lightning damage. And Lightning Breath is a recharge of 5 to 6, dexterity saving throw, DC 16. Each creature in a 60-foot long, 5-foot wide line. On a failure, the target takes 10d10 lightning damage. On a success, they take half damage. And I did forget to say that young Blue Dragons seek to establish themselves as forces to be feared. Many claim isolated communities to rule over, or ancient ruins where they might find magical paths to power. These Blue Dragons might temporarily cooperate with other dragons or powerful villains to gain followers and influence. So let's look at the actual changes to the young Blue Dragon. So first off, the young Blue Dragon has a slightly higher initiative than in 2014. It has actually proficiency in initiative, which is why it has that +4. And like its younger counterpart, it has lost that proficiency in Constitution and Charisma saving throws. Finally, its multi-attack has been slightly reworked. This is now where it now makes 3 rend attacks rather than 1 bite and 2 claw attacks, because bite and claw have been consolidated into that rend attack, and rend is doing some different things there. So yeah, other than that, no other additional changes for the young Blue Dragon. But this is where we're going to get into some really big changes for dragons in general. First off, we need to talk about the Blue Dragon lairs. So, Blue Dragons dwell in arid lands. These lairs might be death traps meant to entomb invaders or ostentatious fortresses where they plot domination. The region containing an adult or ancient Blue Dragon's lair is changed by its presence, creating the following effects. Sinkholes. Sinkholes form more frequently in the area within 1 mile of the lair. Whenever a creature in that area other than the dragon and its allies finishes a long rest, roll 1d20. On a 1, a sinkhole opens beneath the creature, and the creature must succeed on a DC 15 dexterity saving throw or fall 2d4 times 10 feet into the sinkhole. Spiteful storms. Dust devils and thunderstorms rage within 1 mile of the lair. The area is lightly obscured. If the dragon dies or moves its lair elsewhere, these effects end immediately. So now that we've gone over how lairs affect the surrounding region of a adult or ancient Blue Dragon's lair, let's go ahead and talk about adult Blue Dragons. So, adult blue dragons command small empires, which might be territories of subjugated followers, shadowy criminal networks, or cultic enclaves. Endlessly suspicious and wary of rivals, these dragons enact elaborate schemes to ruin their foes, test the loyalty of their servants, and ensure their dominance for centuries. The adult blue dragon has seen a large number of changes to its stat block, so let's go through every single thing in here. So they are a huge dragon, chromatic, they are lawful evil, they have an armor class of 19, an initiative of plus 10, 212 hit points, a speed of 40 feet, a burrow speed of 30 feet, and a fly speed of 80 feet. For ability scores, they have a strength of 25, a dexterity of 10, a constitution of 23, an intelligence of 16, a wisdom of 15, and a charisma of 20. For skills, they have perception at plus 12 and stealth at plus 5. They are immune to lightning damage. For senses, they have blind sight of 60 feet, dark vision of 120 feet, and a passive perception of 22. Languages, they know Common and Draconic. And this is a CR 16 creature. They grant 15,000 experience or 18,000 experience in their layers, and they have a proficiency bonus of plus 5. Legendary resistances, they have 3 per day or 4 per day in their lair. Multi-attack, they can make 3 rend attacks, and they can also replace one of those attacks with the use of spellcasting and cast Shatter, which is quite interesting. Rend now is a melee attack roll with a plus 12 to hit and a reach of 10 feet. On a hit, it deals 2d8 plus 7 slash damage plus 1d10 lightning damage. Lightning Breath is now a dexterity saving throw, DC 19. Each creature in a 90-foot long, 5-foot wide line. On a failure, it deals 11d10 lightning damage, and on a success, it deals half damage. Finally, the adult blue dragon has spell casting, allowing it to cast one of the following spells, requiring no material components and using charisma as the spell casting ability. This gives it a spell save DC of 18. At will, they can cast Detect Magic, Invisibility, Mage Hand, and Shatter, and once per day each, they can cast Scrying and Sending. For legendary actions, they have 3 legendary action usages. This is 4 uses in their lair, and they can expend one of these uses to take one of the action options below, and they regain all expended uses at the start of each of their turns. So the first option that they have available to them is Cloak Flight. This allows the dragon to use spellcasting and cast invisibility on itself, and then it can fly up to half its fly speed. The dragon can't take this action again until the start of its next turn, once it uses this ability. Sonic Boom allows the dragon to use spellcasting to cast Shatter, and the dragon can't use this action again until the start of its next turn. Finally, the dragon has Tail Swipe, which allows it to make 1 rend attack. This is going to be its main attacking legendary action. So yeah, quite a few changes in the stat block, but let's go ahead and underline them all and talk about every single change here. So first off, the adult blue dragon has expertise in initiative, granting it a plus 10. This is quite different because the old adult blue dragon did not have such. It just had a plus 0 to initiative because of its dex score, so that's a massive boon to it. Secondly, the actual hit points of the adult blue dragon have decreased slightly. They've actually lost 1 hit die. So they used to be 225 hit points. That has been slightly reduced to 212. Like the previous blue dragons, they have lost proficiency in Constitution and Charisma saving throws. However, the adult blue dragon has had its Charisma score increased. It used to be 19, it has now been boosted to 20, so that has changed the actual score that they have. Or the modifier, sorry, is what I meant. The adult blue dragon also has an experience point boost in its lair that it did not previously have. Other than what is stated in the Black Dragon's lair options, I don't believe that affected its challenge rating at all if it was encountered in its lair. It does not appear so. The adult Blue Dragon has also gained a boon in its lair, allowing it to have 4 uses of legendary action per day if encountered in its lair, so that's an addition to it. Like I stated before with the last dragon, the multi-attack has slightly changed, allowing it to now make 3 rend attacks instead of 1 bite and 2 claw attacks, because those attacks have been consolidated into that rend attack. They've also added in here that you can replace 1 attack with a use of spellcasting and cast Shatter. That's not an option that they previously had, and I quite like the option there. That's quite nice to see. Rend, of course, is the consolidation of Bite and Claw, so we've talked about that previously. The actual damage for the Lightning Breath has slightly decreased. It used to be 12d10, and it's now 11d10, so they've lowered it by 1 die. Spellcasting is an entirely new trait in the stat block, so everything there is completely new for it. Finally, this idea of having an additional layer or legendary action while encountering in its lair is entirely new, so I've underlined that there. And finally, pretty much every single one of these legendary actions is entirely new. It did not have anything similar to Cloaked Flight other than maybe the wing attack, which allowed it to move half its flying speed, but that also dealt a tiny amount of damage on a failed save. So this is quite different. Nothing similar to Sonic Boom. Tail Attack may be close to Tail Swipe, but it has changed slightly because it's just that rend attack now. So interesting that they kept it as a Tail Swipe. It's kind of neat. But yeah, everything here is pretty much an entirely different meta for the adult Blue Dragon. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead to the final version, the Ancient Blue Dragon. So, Ancient Blue Dragons think beyond dominating groups of short-lived servants. Instead, they seek to claim their places above other dragons and their world's most powerful inhabitants. If world domination seems too tedious or cliché, these dragons might seek to seize control of extraplanar realms, multi-world empires, or forces of reality, like life, storms, or time itself, which is quite a feat, if I don't say so myself. Alright, so the Ancient Blue Dragon is a gargantuan dragon, a chromatic one, and they are lawful evil in alignment. They have an armor class of 22, an initiative of plus 14, hit points of 481, a speed of 40 feet, a burrow speed of 40 feet, and a fly speed of 80 feet. For ability scores, they have a strength of 29, a dexterity of 10, a constitution of 27, an intelligence of 18, a wisdom of 17, and a charisma of 25. For skills, they have a perception of plus 17 and a stealth of plus 7. I should also mention that the Ancient Blue Dragon is proficient in dexterity and wisdom saving throws like its previous counterparts. For immunities, it's immune to lightning damage. For senses, it has blind sight of 60 feet, dark vision of 120 feet, and a passive perception of 27. For languages, they know Common and Draconic, and they are a challenge rating at 23 creature, granting a 50,000 experience or 62,000 experience in their lair. They have a proficiency bonus of plus 7. Finally, their legendary resistances have increased. They now have 4 per day or 5 per day in their lair. Their multi-attack still allows them to make 3 rend attacks, however, they can replace 1 attack with a use of spellcasting to cast Shatter as a level 3 spell, which is quite neat. Rend is now a plus 16 to hit, reach of 15 feet, deals 2d8 plus 9 slashing damage plus 2d10 lightning damage. Lightning Breath has been increased to DC 23, each creature in a 120 foot long, 10 foot wide line, and deals 16d10 lightning damage. Spellcasting has been slightly increased. The spell save DC has become a DC 22, At will, they can cast Detect Magic, Invisibility, Mage Hand, and Shatter as a level 3 spell, and once per day each, they can still cast Scrying and Sending. Finally, legendary actions. These have remained pretty much exactly the same, including the additional legendary action use when encountered in their lair. The only real change here is that Shatter is now cast at level 3 across the board. So, now that we've looked at this stat block, we'll talk about the actual changes here. So, like the previous adult version, the Ancient Blue Dragon has Expertise and Initiative, granting it a plus 14. This is a lot larger than the plus 0 that it previously had, so that's why we take mention of it. Of course, the Ancient Blue Dragon, like its predecessors, has lost proficiency in Constitution and Charisma saving throws. However, that Charisma score has increased from a 21 to a 25, so that's a significant increase there, which has changed its bonus or its modifier. The 62,000 experience that you get when encountering a Ancient Blue Dragon in its lair is new to the stat block. Finally, the Ancient Blue Dragon used to only have 3 legendary resistances per day, and now has 4 per day or 5 per day in its lair, which is quite an increase. Finally, that multi-attack has been changed in that the Bite and Claws have been consolidated into just that rend, and then they have that option to replace an attack with the use of spellcasting to cast Shatter as a level 3 spell. Love to see that. And other than that, every other thing that I have talked about has been mentioned in the previous stat block. So yeah, some real major changes here, honestly. The Ancient Blue Dragon is a lot scarier than its previous counterpart. I especially like the scaling of being able to replace one of the attacks in its multi-attack with the casting of a spell. Shatter is a pretty decent spell and makes a lot of sense for an Ancient Blue Dragon, just because it deals thunder damage in a radius, so that's kind of neat to see. I also like the options of being able to turn invisible and fly half your fly speed, or being able to cast a spell as a legendary action, or just making that rend attack. This Ancient Blue Dragon seems to keep very consistent to its challenge rating, which is really nice to see. That rend attack is dealing an impressive amount of damage, average of 29 per hit. So making 3 of those, it's dealing a pretty impressive amount of damage per turn. And you can technically make additional rend attacks as legendary actions, up to 4 if you encounter it in its lair, which is pretty insane to see. So yeah, really enjoy how these dragons have changed, and I think this is a really good I really like how they changed the design philosophy behind dragons, and I like that they're making them a little bit more mystical and magical, and a lot more of a powerhouse in general. So that's really nice to see. But that is going to be it for blue dragons in general, not just ancients. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. We're going through every monster in the monster manual. Next on our list is going to be the Bone Devil, so keep an eye out for that video. Until then, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. See you later.